Hey guys, Technically Jeff here, and I want to talk to you about EV charging today, specifically level 1 versus level 2, and whether level 2 charging really is required if you are going to own an EV. What is level 1 versus level 2? Level 1 charging is just 120 volt charging. Level 2 charging is 240 volt. Basically, level 2 is twice as fast as level 1 at the same amperage, but level 2 charging goes significantly higher with the amperage as well, so it can be much faster. So because of that, you will see in a lot of articles, I saw one just the other day that said level 2 charging is basically required if you have an EV, and that with level 1 charging you'll only get 2 to 3 miles of range per hour, which is not sufficient. But it's not always the case. I'm not sure where the 2 to 3 miles of range per hour came from, because for most EVs that's just not true in normal conditions. So let's talk about it a little bit further. So level 1 charging, 120 volt, it's going to be at basically 8 amps, 10 amps, or 12 amps. Most OEM manufacturers I've seen provide 12 amp chargers. That's basically maxing out a household outlet, a 15 amp breaker. You're not supposed to run it continuously over 80% current draw, so that would be 12 amps. Some provide 10 amp chargers, some manufacturers like VW with the ID4. Some give you the option of selecting 8 or 12 amps on the charger itself, but either way, level 1 charging typically maxes out at 12 amps. And to calculate your charging speed, you multiply that 12 amps times 120 volts, and that gives you 1.44 kilowatts of charging. And then there is going to be some charging losses just with inefficiencies in the process. So realistically, it's about 1.3 kilowatts for the charging speed. And then to get your miles added per hour, you multiply that 1.3 times whatever your efficiency is in your EV. So my EV is an example. I have an EV6. I average in typical driving about 3.6 miles per kilowatt hour. If I'm driving on the highway, I get more like 3.3, 3.4. If I'm driving around town, sometimes I'll get up to 4.5, 5. So it varies. But whatever your efficiency is that you're looking at, you multiply that times the charging speed. So if I'm at, say, 3.5 miles per kilowatt hour, multiply that times 1.3. Realistically, in my case, I would get between 4 and 5 miles of range per hour charging on a level 1 charger, which charging overnight, that means 50 to 60 miles of range or more potentially charging overnight, which that is more than enough for the vast majority of people. I saw a study just the other day where over like 90% of Americans drive less than 30 miles per day on average, and that's well within level 1 charging capabilities. So I just want to make sure that people are aware of that. Now, one caveat, this is based off of normal conditions. So if you're in an area where it gets really cold, like freezing or below regularly, or super hot, where you're going to have to use the AC and the battery cooling is going to have to be running a lot, then it's not going to be as efficient, and you may see 2 to 3 miles of range per hour in those extreme conditions. But in normal conditions, where it's between, say, 40 and 80 degrees the majority of the time outside, you will, if you have a fairly efficient EV, see 4 to 5 miles of range or more added per hour. And that could be enough. One thing to keep in mind too is a lot of manufacturers, when you purchase an EV, provide agreements for public charging, where you can get some sort of free charging. So the Hyundai Ioniq 5, I think, gives you 2 years of Electrify America 30-minute charging sessions. The Kia EV6 gives you 1,000 kilowatt hours charging at Electrify America. And that's pretty substantial, and that can kind of help fill in the gaps. But even if you don't have that, the majority of the time, level 1 charging would probably be okay, unless you do a significant amount of driving. And I wanted to make sure that I made this video to talk about this because, like I said, in a lot of articles, they make it seem like you have to have level 2 charging in order to own an EV, and that's not the case. And level 2 charging can be expensive. You have to pay for the charger itself, which, depending on the brand and the capabilities, if it has Wi-Fi, that type of thing, it can be several $100s, or I've seen some over 1,000. And then you also, if you don't have a 240 volt outlet you can plug it into, then you have to pay for the wiring. An electrician will come out, run the wiring that's capable of whatever amperage you're looking at, install the new breaker, install the outlet. I'll do a video in the future about 240 volt charging and installing a certain setup. I have a setup outside that was just recently done with a juice box charger, so I'll do a review of that as well. But the cost can be substantial depending on how much wire you have to get. Wire is not cheap. This recent inflation has not helped it either, so it can be $3 to $4 a foot just for wiring, and if you have to run that 50 feet, you're looking at 150 to 200 bucks just in wiring. So anyway, it can be substantial. You're looking at probably around $1,500 to $2,000 if you are going to install a level 2 charger. And that's why I wanted to do this, so that people aren't going into EV ownership thinking, okay, I got to buy the EV, now I also have to spend $2,000 on a charger, when in reality they may not need to. If most people are driving less than 30 miles a day, level 1 charging will be fine. I had a Nero EV before my EV6. I had it for over a year, and all I did was level 1 charging, and that was plenty. It never gave me any issues. I did go on one trip where I had to DC fast charge, but that was because I went on a trip. And having level 2 charging wouldn't have changed that. So level 1 charging was plenty for me, and it's, like I said, it's plenty for the majority of people, as long as you have normal conditions that you would be charging in. So now, with that said, I will say level 2 charging is significantly faster, like I said. So it'll charge twice as fast at the same amperage, but level 2 charging, if you're plugging it in, you can go all the way up to 40 amps, which 40 amps at 240 volts, you're looking at 9.5 kilowatts of power, which is enough to fully charge an EV like mine, basically in 8 hours, which is pretty quick. And if you're hardwiring it, a lot of hardwired chargers go up to 48 amps. Some specialty ones, like the new F-150 Lightning's charger, goes all the way up to 80, which, when you have a battery pack as big as that one, it can be required if you want to fully charge that overnight, and you need to. So level 2 charging does have its place. It is significantly faster, and if you need it, it will charge your car much faster. But there's a cost that's associated with it. So anyway, that's why I wanted to make this video. Make sure everyone's aware of level 1 versus level 2 charging, the capabilities of level 1 charging, the limitations of level 1 charging, and whether you really need it. Let you make your own decision. You could also always just try it out and see if that's something that you need. If the level 1 charging isn't working out for you, then you can buy a level 2 charger at that point. I will say some manufacturers aren't including level 1 chargers with their cars anymore. So, for example, the EV6 didn't come with a level 1 charger. I actually purchased a OEM Mopar, which is the Chrysler and Jeep ones. I purchased that one on eBay. It was a new one for 160 bucks, and it's the one that comes with the Pacifica Hybrid and the Jeep, the 4xe model plug-in hybrids. So good quality, and 160 bucks isn't bad. There's also some level 1 chargers on Amazon for less than 200 bucks if you want to go that route and your EV doesn't come with it. So anyway, just want to make you guys aware. Let me know if you guys have any questions on this. Again, I'm going to be doing some more videos regarding charging and things like that in the future. But let me know if you have any questions, if there are any additional videos that you guys would like to see on this. Stay tuned for the next video or future videos regarding the level 2 charger that I have and the setup that I have in my garage. And I will see you guys in the next video. If you like this video, please hit that like button and subscribe, and follow me on all social media. Thanks for watching.